Good evening, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show Post, live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports. My name is Big Reg, and I'm joined this evening by my partner in crime, J3. What's going on, J3?
My people, my people, my people. It's time to get out and vote. The days are getting shorter and it's coming real soon. Do that quick.
Absolutely. Make a plan, make a backup plan, do it as early as possible and get it done. We'll be joined later on in the program by Big Ed. Ed will be jumping on shortly. And we just like to put a shout out to our other partner in crime, Professor J. Professor J's with us in the building this evening in the background handling things. So, Professor, we hope you feel better real soon, and we appreciate you helping out anyway.
Yep.
All right, so let's get ready to talk some sports. This week, we will discuss Week 6 of the NFL, the college football update, Major League Playoff Baseball. It's World Series time. We got to talk about Lopez versus Lomachenko.
Ooh, wow. Yes, sir.
That was a surprise over the weekend.
What a fight. Yes, indeed.
Of course, we'll have our post takes plus other topics that caught our attention and our final post of the evening. We appreciate you tuning in, so sit back, relax, and enjoy Post on the Positional Sports Talk Show.
Real quick, though, let me just give you a quick shout out to Jay Wills. We know you want to be here with us, but you got to take care of your newborn son, so we understand, and we know you with us. Appreciate you.
Always in the bag for the little J3.
Yes, sir.
So we got Week 6. Week 6 in the NFL. I want to start off with a few notes before we actually get into the game. Injuries continue to be an issue in 2020.
Ouch.
The Eagles, who've been already decimated all season with injuries, lose tight end Zach Ertz to a high ankle sprain.
My number one damn tight end. My number one tight end. I mean, like, really? Really?
They also are going to miss running back Miles Sanders for an unknown time, but he will definitely miss Thursday night's matchup with the vaunted New York Giants. So
ain't nobody want to see that.
Tennessee Titans had a big loss, though, over the weekend. They lost left tackle Taylor Lewan to a torn ACL, out for the season, and he was a huge part of that offense. The 49ers get back running back Raheem Mostert, and then first game back, high ankle sprain. They say they're going to put him on IR. Former Washington football team player Trent Williams has an ankle sprain, which is normal for him. Speaking about the Washington football team, tackle/guard Sadiq Charles dislocated his kneecap, but they actually talking about he may play in 2 weeks. I don't understand that, but
who knows?
They'll figure it out. Ravens got a couple of bumps and bruises, the biggest one being running back Mark Ingram, who also sprained his ankle, but they expect him back after their bye week. And cornerback Anthony Averett had a shoulder injury. The Packers, not only did they get beat down, and we'll talk about that soon, but they also lost left tackle David Bakatari, who had a chest injury. They're not sure how long he's going to be out. And for my man Ed's Black and Gold, the Steelers lose second-year inside linebacker Devin Bush to a torn ACL. So, I mean, injuries have been huge.
Man, take that off of there. Nobody want to see that.
You also have big signing news over the week.
As if they needed more weapons.
Chiefs, the rich get richer after running back Le'Veon Bell finally got out of purgatory and got out of the New York Jets. he gets to sign a 1-year league minimum contract because the contract he had with the Jets had a prorate clause in it. So he wasn't going to make any more money. So now, once he finishes his 10-day quarantine, which should be for this coming Sunday's bout with the Broncos, they're going to add another weapon to that already prolific offense. And we'll talk about them real shortly. And quietly, the Tampa Bay Bucks made a trade with those same Jets. They get defensive tackle, nose tackle Steve McClendon for 2 late-round picks, one, I think, a 6th round in 2021 and a 7th round in 2022, or vice versa, to replace injured nose tackle Vita Vea, who they lost for the season. So Tampa's getting better. If anybody saw the way that defense played, and they just picked up a gentleman who was the team captain for the Jets on defense, another rich getting richer. So,
yeah.
And last but not least, as far as the news for the week in the NFL, it's Tua time.
He about to drop them bombs.
The Miami Dolphins announced today that rookie quarterback Tua Tagovailoa will be the starting quarterback when they come off of their bye for the Miami Dolphins. Ryan Fitzpatrick did his thing. He won the last 2 out of 3 games. You saw a little Fitz magic again. But when you draft somebody number 5, they're going to play eventually. So best time is to do it over the bye week, get them 2 weeks of practice and get them ready. So
I'm sure Fitzpatrick knew that. I'm sure it's not a surprise to him. So he did, like you said, he got him the first 5 games, and now it's time for him to step in and do what he do.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem with Tua. My only concern is the Dolphins were actually starting to play good football again. They were 3-3. They're only 1 game back in the AFC East, and Fitzpatrick was winning. So it is a little small risk that if Tua struggles as a rookie quarterback, which most will, that you have other players on that team like, hey, we had a shot at winning this AFC East, but they're looking long term.
Not only that, I mean, think about this. This season, we don't even know how much longer this season is going to last. So why not let him get his feet wet now? Again, if they make the playoffs, that's a plus. But if they don't, again, it's still getting him experience ready for next season. I think it's a good move.
I agree with J3. I agree with you. I knew it was coming. And, hey, they're not a Super Bowl contender this year. So, like you said, give him experience. He'll have 10 games to play this year and get him ready for next year. And don't forget, they have 4 draft picks in the first 2 rounds next year. So they just going to get stacked even more. The Miami Dolphins may surpass the Bills and the Patriots within a year or 2. All right, so yeah. I hear you, BJ. I got that same question. We're going to talk about them shortly. How is the Jets still have the same coach? I don't think they want to pay anybody else, but let's move on.
Who want to go there? How about that? You ever thought about that? Nobody running to try to go over there.
Good point. So in the most anticipated game of the week, you had the Tampa Bay Bucks just dominate the Packers, J3.
I feel sorry for Aaron Rodgers. I really do. I mean, he's trying every week to put his team on his back and win, but they just don't have enough weapons for him. And again, it reverts back to like we stated before. What were they thinking about doing the draft? It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, and to add to that, now with Tua slated to start, all of the first-round quarterbacks that were drafted will have not only played but been named the starter of their teams, with the exception of the Packers, Jordan Love.
So Jalen Hurts is finally getting some love?
Jalen Hurts is getting some run, but he's not first round. Jalen went the second round.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the clarity.
So Tampa, I wasn't really – I thought the jury was still out, but the way that defense played on Sunday was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, for anybody who didn't watch the game, the Packers actually came out, took the first drive straight down the field, scored a touchdown. On their second drive, they marched right down the field. Tampa finally got a stop, but they scored a field goal. It was 10-0 Packers. On their next possession, Aaron gets a little cute. Instead of stepping in and driving the ball, he tries to throw a long out to the sideline to the wide receiver, the same kind of passes that Tom Brady's gotten pick sixes on this year. And yep, indeedy, Mr. Rogers gets picked by Jamal Dean, 32 yards for a pick six.
I was surprised your boy Ndamukong Suh stepped up and actually got some tackles.
Oh, and Ndamukong Suh, they go back, when he was with Detroit and the Detroit Packers thing. So he don't like Rodgers a little bit. And he was talking mad trash to Rodgers the whole game.
Yeah. I was shocked. I'm like, oh, he finally stepped up, huh? Okay.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of another NFL team getting punked by another one. Because that Tampa defense punked that offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Mr. Rogers, who on a bad season would throw 8 or 9 interceptions in a year, throws his second INT within 3 passes. And that should have been a pick six, but they tackled the guy at the 2-yard line. And then Tampa just ran it in for a quick score. Then after that, it was just lights out. Game
Again,
over.
man. Again, he has no real targets. So it's like he's fending for his life with the ball, first of all, trying to get rid of it. And then who's he throwing it to? His daggone back the majority of the time. I mean, every now and then he may throw it to his tight end. What receivers are out there outrunning the ball or even running a pattern that he can actually complete a pass accurately? I mean, come on, really?
I feel you. I was highly, highly, highly impressed with Tampa's young linebackers, Devin White and Levante David, along with Sue. Them boys was out there hitting everything moving. So if Tampa's defense plays 80 to 90% of what they played against Green Bay and the offense continues to gel, Tampa might be playing in Tampa for the Super Bowl.
I mean, right now, if you look at their division, they have a good chance for real.
I hear you. Let's move on to the Steel City.
Whoo!
Wish Brother Ed was here, but I have to admit, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Wow.
These Steelers, I did not see 5-0 coming
At
any
all.
way, shape, or form. And what they did to the Browns.
The Browns, I still don't understand what the problem is with them. They have so many pieces on both sides of the ball. Is it coaching? I mean, don't get me wrong. We're not taking nothing away from the Steelers because the Steelers are clicking on all cylinders. And we knew they were going to do that once they got their quarterback back. He just literally put them over the edge, and they're playing like that. But the Browns, I just don't understand it.
You've got your fourth coach. You've got all-star, if not Pro Bowl, all-pro wide receivers. You got an all-star tight end. You've got a half-decent line. You've got running backs. Even with the lead running back injured, you still got 2 good running backs. So that leaves one position.
The quarterback.
Baker, stop making commercials. Well, I guess you better make all the commercials you can now, because soon you're going to be a backup quarterback, and you better bank that money while you can.
Yeah, ask Mariota. Sound real familiar, don't it?
Yeah, you think of that. Baker, Mariota, Jameis. Woo. And a lot of these top quarterbacks that aren't working out. Now, I'll be the first to say I think more good young quarterbacks are ruined by going to poor organizations. But I don't think that's the case with Baker.
Well, first of all, they got to play somewhere, so it doesn't matter what team they with. And again, your quarterback is only going to be as good as your offensive line, and so he ain't got no problems with the offensive line. So obviously, it's his accuracy.
If your ribs are too sore, don't play. If you're crossing the white lines, no excuses. And yeah, the receivers can be divas, and you're specifically talking about uh, the, the one with the biggest off-field contract ever with Nike. But you get a little frustrated when you beating people all day and he can't get the ball to you. I take my shoes off too.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next monster in the NFL, the Tennessee Titans.
Ooh, look out. He about to run you over. Go ahead with it.
The Tennessee Titans beat 2 teams in 6 days after dealing with the COVID crisis where they had to reschedule a game, miss a week. They were out of their facility for almost 2 weeks. They first started last Tuesday when we got off the air. They pummeled the previously undefeated Buffalo Bills 42-16, pummeled them, and then went and backed it up against division rival Houston. So you know they know all their tricks. And King Henry put a deuce up on them.
Whew. Good God Almighty. We ain't even gonna mention Josh Norman because good Lord.
Derrick Henry, 6'3", 6'3" and a half, 250 pounds, took a ball 94 yards to the house and outran not only the linebackers, not only the safeties. He outran a DB, and the DB grabbed his hamstring after the end of the run.
I mean, he was just straight to the goal line. Like, wow.
Yeah, that should be outlawed for sure. And then, quiet as it's kept, Ryan Tannehill is balling.
For now, yeah.
Absolutely balling. Ever since he's been inserted in the starting lineup, Tannehill's only lost, I think, 4 games since he's been put in the starting lineup. They got wide receiver A.J. Brown back, and all he does is catch 2 touchdowns. Tannehill ended up with 364 yards passing, 4 TDs, 1 interception. And you talking about a physical team that's going to punch you in the mouth, that you got to worry about the run. Because if you don't worry about the run, King Henry going to get you. So that makes the wide receivers wide open. So
Poor Deshaun Watson. I feel so sorry for him.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad. He tried his best, man. Deshaun went 28 for 37, 335 yards, 4 TDs, no interceptions, and still lost.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
So we will see.
Bears?
How about them Bears?
5-1.
Leading the NFC North.
Who knew?
The Bears. I like Nick Foles' post-game interview. He said, hey, sometimes you got to win ugly. What would you rather do, win ugly or lose pretty? I'd rather win ugly. And that's what Nick Foles is doing, winning ugly.
That's right. A win is a win.
A W is a W, by any means necessary.
And definitely don't take anything away from Teddy Bridgewater because he was doing this thing.
Yes, sir. The Panthers, considering they blew that team up, got rid of the whole coaching staff. So you got a college coaching staff, first time in the NFL. You get rid of your franchise quarterback. Your franchise running back has been injured since week 1. And they still 3-3. Yeah, they doing work down there. They
Yeah,
doing
man.
work down there.
They allowing Teddy to be Teddy. I mean, he's not being restricted at all, so he's got free reign, and he's definitely taking advantage of it.
Absolutely. So the Bears are going to be scary because if they can keep, as the professor calls him, Saint Nick, upright, and he can do enough with that defense, they're going to be a problem. And the Packers may not be the winner of the NFC North because they got to deal with that defense. Let's go about 95, J3.
That purple and black is still rolling, man, and they're going to continue rolling. The Ravens ain't no joke. My man Jackson, goodness gracious. 17-0 at halftime. End up winning, what, 30-28? And I know Philly tried. I know they tried, but yeah, they just, they in the same league we are in. I mean, same division, and yeah, their performance is the same. A L, plain and simple.
That was a classic example to me of a team beating on a team. After 3 quarters, they just relaxed and said, "Oh, this team can't beat us." So the score looks closer than what the game actually was. For 3 quarters, they was beating the brakes off of the Eagles, and make your boy Wentz look like he didn't want to be there for a minute. But as you said, Mr. Jackson is starting to do his thing. For like 3 weeks, it looked like he was reluctant to run. But this week he started using his legs again. And when he popped that, what was it? I think it's like 37-yard run up the middle, put that 4-2 on him.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, in case y'all forgot.
Ain't nobody forget. We know how you are, Lamar. Shoot, trust.
So I can't wait till after that bye week because that's going to be the game. Pittsburgh versus the Ravens.
Let's hope we can see it.
Let's hope. Then we got to talk about the face of the NFL. Mr. Mahomes.
Yes.
Everybody thought, he was just a gunslinger. Guy that, throw the ball, sidearm, behind his back, no look. Patrick Mahomes is actually learning how to be a game manager too. That's real scary for the NFL. Teams start playing real soft, deep zone, saying, we're not going to let Tyreek Hill just run by us anymore. We're not going to let Travis Kelce just run a deep slant down the middle of the field. You're going to have to, beat us going 10, 15 yards at a time. Patrick said, okay, we'll do that. And also, by the way, we got this rookie running back there.
Ooh-wee. He is so nice. Averaging 7 yards a carry. Oh, my goodness.
They call him CEH. He's a monster.
Yeah, buddy.
And then we got another monster coming in a week that ain't nobody seen in a while that they're going to be able to split out as a wide receiver, put him in the slot. Oh, my goodness.
Clyde had 26 carries for 161 yards. Woo! Good Lord.
Yeah. They ran it down the Bills' throat, and the Bills are supposed to have a good defense.
Yeah, well, you couldn't tell that.
No, sir. What's up, brother Ed?
Hey, what up, Ed? What's happening?
Fellas, how y'all doing this evening?
Glad to see you on, bro.
Good to see you. We was just talking about how man Patrick Mahomes is actually becoming a game manager as well as a superstar gunslinger, and what CEH did to them Bills.
Well, in reverse, and I heard you mention this. Clyde Edwards-Helaire I think he had a little fire lit underneath his behind because
You think?
because he had a great debut and his production actually tailed off a little bit until last night. And then last night, all of a sudden, he carried the team last night, so to speak. I think he ended up with 160 yards.
161.
Okay, 161
yards.
And we don't know what Le'Veon has, but I have a sneaking suspicion that he has a lot more than he was showing in New York. So
of course,
that's going to be a big addition to the Kansas City Chiefs.
You know what? You know what that reminds me of? This already happened this year with your boys. You remember James Conner went out, I think game 1 or game 2 with the ankle injury, and the backup rushed for 100-some yards.
Yeah, he hurried up and got healthy.
Yeah, he got healthy real quick. He been running 40 yards every game since.
Yeah, because if you look at, I know we haven't. I don't know if we've touched on Pittsburgh yet, but if you look at Conner, this is one of the seasons when he might have a little nick or something, but for the most part, he's been towing the line. So yeah, you're right, because he not only has one guy behind him that's capable, he has another guy waiting in the wings that's also capable. But yeah, you're right to that point. That is similar to that situation.
Yeah, so
well, Le'Veon Bell couldn't wait to get there because Andy Reid likes to run the ball, so he know he gonna get fed.
Yeah,
and with him and Hilaire back there, oh my goodness.
Hey,
Can
I mention something that you guys were talking about as far as the evolution of Pat Mahomes? Yeah, I believe you was talking about him being a game manager. He displayed that he could be a game manager as well. I think that's just the level of maturity, and this goes back to the point that I always make between when we speak about these young quarterbacks coming into the league, and the way Andy Reid has handled him from day one is just a perfect example of how you should go about and the proper way of developing a quarterback. And I know, like, a lot of critics will come and say, well, he went to a perfect situation, which he did. He went to a perfect coach, which he did. He went to a perfect organization, which he did. But you got to understand, it's not as simple as that. As far as, yes, all those things I just said is true, but the way that they developed him, they put him on the bench. He didn't have the pressure of coming in there and starting and saving the team, saving the team. Because if you remember, he went 10th overall, but Kansas City wasn't a 10th overall team. They traded up and made some moves to go up and get Pat Mahomes, but They had an established, veteran, solid Pro Bowl quarterback sitting there, able to take the snaps, take the pressure off of Pat Mahomes, show Pat Mahomes what a professional quarterback looks like, acts like, and plays like. So let that be a model for other organizations that I believe this draft coming up in 2021 is going to be quarterback heavy. There's going to be transcendent quarterbacks, at least as far as scouting reports are concerned, available for these teams next year. And let that be a lesson to this is how you should bring a quarterback along, and this may end up being the result. Because I'll give you a perfect example. Adam Gase almost had Tannehill completely out of the league. Completely out of the league. He was a franchise quarterback. He was drafted to be a franchise quarterback, and that organization. Right, right. That's just another example. But there's a long list of organizations and coaches that completely ruin the confidence, the athletic ability of these young kids, and then when they get to another situation that's more inducive or conducive to their development and success. Tannehill, he went to a good organization, solid offensive line, superstar running back, and they allowed him to grow and evolve into that position.
Just to add to your point, Ed, wouldn't that make it? Wouldn't you agree that that's what a general manager is supposed to do? Supposed to seek out players that's going to enhance your organization so that he can be successful and you can win.
Yeah, but just because they do that doesn't necessarily mean they take advantage of it. In a case of,
I agree.
And we have a perfect example right here in the DMV area with Alex Smith. Once again, he's a perfect mentor professional quarterback. He did suffer an injury, and he had his own obstacles to overcome. But that's a perfect example of just because you have the players in place doesn't necessarily mean you have the structure in place to go along with that.
And as I said earlier,
Brian,
tonight,
comment. That was funny. That was real funny.
more people, I think more teams ruin young players than develop them. And since we're talking about it, and a couple of people have brought it up, what happened to Dallas was just horrible. And I just like to put this out there to our Dallas Cowboy fans out there. I'm sorry for y'all. We tried to tell y'all that Dak was better than what y'all believed. For the last 2 years, y'all been saying Dak wasn't all that. Dak wasn't this. Dak wasn't that. Look at all the stuff we have. Dak was covering up a bunch of ills that nobody wanted to talk about. Mainly, the defense has been horrible for 2 years. It's getting worse. The offensive line,
to the Super Bowl,
which everybody used to brag upon, hasn't been good for 3 years.
At least.
And now all of them are hurt or gone or retired. So now you've got a bunch of replacements on offensive line. So, Mom Marshall, I know you mentioned that maybe Haskins could go down to Dallas. I would hate for him to go down there and get beat up behind that offensive line. He already got beat up behind the Washington offensive line. The best thing for Haskins is to go somewhere where he can sit behind a good established quarterback in a good established organization, i.e. Pittsburgh, i.e. Tampa, i.e.
Seahawks.
I would even say he's never going to play in the Seahawks. I want him to go somewhere where they got an older quarterback that he can play in maybe a year or two.
New England.
Indy, New England, absolutely.
Chi-Town.
Well, y'all know I said either Dak's going to Chi-Town or Cam's going to Chi-Town next year. So I don't think that's going to be on the list. So 38-10. How about them Cowboys?
Woo! Yeah.
I tried to stay impartial on this, but that was just downright miserable. And to see Zeke put the ball on the ground not once, but twice, and they have to replace a $90 million contract running back because they have no confidence in him, that's a problem.
Well, that's a perfect example. Again, it's unfortunate, but like you said, I agree with everything you said, Big Reg, as far as the decline of their offensive line, the state of their defense. But the crazy thing is that when they were supposedly making all these changes, people got caught up in, or people chose to get caught up in, the status of Dak's contract and whether or not he was worth this or whether or not he was worth that. And they completely ignored the horrible hire of Mike McCarthy. Number one, he couldn't win. If you can't win with an all-pro, all-world, all-time Hall of Fame type quarterback, okay. I know he did win a Super Bowl, but
who
that
complained that the offense got old and predictable, and everybody knew what it was, and it didn't evolve. Yeah.
Yeah, but Mike McCarthy, and then you keep a remnant of the old regime with the offensive coordinator, and then you recycle a has-been defensive coordinator in Mike Nolan, and you have zero, and your star players on defense is one rehabbing his life, getting his life back together, which I admire. It's hard to come back.
He's the best player on that defense now,
right? But then you have your two cornerstone linebackers are known as far as having a long list of injury concerns. They have no outside speed as far as the cornerback. They let their best cornerback go to Miami. So it's a terrible state right now for the Cowboys, but they'll be all right. I mean, they're in the
NFC East, so
yeah,
they could still win the division.
They're actually in first place.
Yeah,
for now,
which is terrible. Which is terrible.
So
I do want to give a shout out to Mr. Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has more wins in the Jerry Dome than I think Dallas has in the last couple of years. With the win last night with the Cardinals, that was Kyler's been 5-0 in Jerry's Dome. He won 3 state Texas titles, which is huge. He won a Big 12 title, and now he just came home and whipped up on them Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys?
Just to finish off the games, 49ers bounced back, beat the Rams 24-16. Garoppolo looked a little better, but they only allowed him to throw the ball down the field like 3 yards. But he did what he had to do. The Colts quietly are 4-2. They're a little beat up, but old man Phillip Rivers actually, after a horrible first half, got going. I guess the rubbing alcohol and all that finally kicked in after about midway through the second quarter. So he was able to get that arm loose and threw for 3 touchdowns. Congratulations to interim head coach Raheem Morris for getting the Falcons their first win. Wow. I'm proud of that black man. He's proven that coaching actually does matter, and giving a mindset to a team actually could help them win.
Let's start with the Vikings, though, man. I mean, you're not going to talk about the Vikings and how they just went the totally opposite?
I'm trying to be nice to the professor tonight.
Oh, never mind.
He feel under weather, so I'm gonna leave his man alone.
So you ain't gonna talk about Captain Kirk? You just gonna leave it alone? Okay.
I'm just leaving it alone.
All right, enough said. Next.
Dolphins beat the Jets. How does Adam Gates still have a job?
You know how he has a job. We talked about this before. You know why he has a job. He don't look like you and me.
Hidden racism.
Come on, man.
You're getting shut out now. You get shut out by the Dolphins.
Wow.
But the Dolphins, and I picked the Dolphins to finish second in that division. They stand at 3-3 right now. The leaders of that division is standing at, I believe they're 5-2 or 4-2. Buffalo's 4-2. Last night or yesterday afternoon. So, and the Dolphins just made that quarterback change. So, the Dolphins I think they're a year ahead of schedule. They're still not, I still think they're a 9-17, but nevertheless,
they got a lot of pieces they putting together. They're getting there.
So for them to beat the Jets the way they did, that's par for the course.
No competition, right?
Yeah,
I hate
it. Ain't worth talking about. Next.
Lions beat Jacksonville 34-16. Broncos
ain't worth talking about.
Beat the Patriots. The Patriots look like the COVID had kicked their butt, especially Cam. Cam didn't look like himself. So I think they'll bounce back after a week of practice and actually being able to get in their facility and Cam getting his feet under him. And then the dud of the week. The New York Giants get their first W against the Washington football team.
Yeah.
And your boy Riverboat Ron goes for the win. And they fail in the 2-point conversion late in the fourth.
Yep.
So the Week 7 matchups. We got some good Week 7 matchups to look forward to, fellas. Steelers at Titans Sunday at 1.
If they play.
Panthers at Saints at 1. Seahawks at Cardinals at 4:05. 49ers at Patriots at 4:25. Sunday night game is Bucks at Raiders. And then Monday night, got the Bears at the Rams.
Hey, I think we have to start giving the Bears a little bit of credit.
We gave him credit before you jumped on.
Okay. We'll move on then. But yeah, good job.
Yeah, we definitely said, gave hats off to little Saint Nick for doing this thing with the Bears and that defense. All right, let's transition to college football. Probably the big story of the week coming is the fact that the Big Ten kicks off football this weekend. So that brings you Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, that may play a factor into the college football playoffs. Let's be real. Ohio State's probably the only one.
Probably.
But
I mean,
let's
that's
just
gonna
hope
be
they gonna
weird.
play.
You had football players who were told it wasn't going to happen, so they shut it down. They had to gear back up. How many of those players really don't want to play, but know if they say I'm gonna opt out when everybody else is playing, they're gonna lose their position on the team, even though they say that's not going to happen. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Big Ten teams play. What's your thought?
But my thought as far as the Big Ten and even more so with the Pac-12 when they're going to start up a few weeks after today, after this weekend, is that Ohio State's going to play 7 games, right?
Yep.
All the Big Ten teams are slated for seven games, and I guess an 8th game, which would be the championship. Meanwhile, the SEC has slated an entire SEC schedule, 10 games, which there's no breaks, not even Vanderbilt. There's no breaks at any moment. Either of those teams can lose. Plus an 11th game, which would be the SEC championship game.
Yep.
So now you're playing 11 games versus a potentially 8-game season. So how in the world, it's outside of Ohio State, because really we're only talking about Ohio State. They really technically started the whole entire league up because they wanted Ohio State to get to potentially get into the championship playoff and collect that money for which the entire conference benefits from. I just don't think I don't necessarily think it's fair. I know life is not fair. I guess sports isn't fair these days, which they should be. But I don't understand how you can even, how can you even justify 8 games versus 11? And you coming from the best conference, and it's not my opinion. This is by the athletes in the NFL, which is how you should judge a conference. How many athletes are they putting into the football players are they putting in the NFL? And we're talking about football here, ladies and gentlemen. That's it's just not fair. That's why there's going to be 2 SEC teams in the championship series, because other than that, you can't justify it any other way. What's your thoughts on that, Big Reg?
Well, I agree with a lot you said. I mean, we all know it's money. We said about that, why they even playing college football, period. But when you talk about the Big Ten, right now in this country, the biggest outbreaks in this country are in that neck of the woods. Mm-hmm. The upper, middle, central part of the country to Midwest. So Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, they're having some serious problems. So it'll be interesting to see if they even get the chance to play 7 games. Because once they start playing, there's no room for error if there's any COVID issues for them. So what if they have to reschedule a game? Are they just going to be postponing? So what? Ohio State plays 5 games and they put them in the college football playoff? Yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. And then as far as the other people, as we see, the ACC is, the Clemson JV warm-up tour, 73-7. I mean, come on.
I mean, that's why I don't take anything away from Clemson, because Clemson are bona fide national level SEC championship level team. So I don't take anything away from Dabo. And I think Dabo is smart. And that's why I think that he won't ever leave Clemson, is because of the fact that technically he has a series of exhibition games weekly to prepare, to build depth, and to experiment with his roster every year. And look, it's just the way it is. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm not saying, Clemson gets an unfair advantage. They're in the ACC.
He built it there. So
he built it. Right. But again, it makes for boring football. It really does. If that's who, I guess, is that ESPN who carries ACC games?
Yeah, they have the ACC networks on ESPN, and they carry between ABC and ESPN.
ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like someone said Saturday, you know it's no competition when the number one team or years when they number two play at noon almost every week.
Right.
When nobody's watching.
Right.
Because it's a blowout. So let's talk about the one big game of the week. And Ed, you and I watched this together. J3, hopefully you caught some of this. Number 2, Alabama against number 3, Georgia.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of it.
That first half was shaky. Georgia has done what it's been doing for the last 3-4 years. They get an early lead. Oh, Nick coming back off of a false positive and COVID, got cleared Saturday morning, went into the locker room at halftime, made some adjustments, shut out in the second half.
Maybe it's just the teams that's in the lines. It just seems like a lot of teams do that. What you think?
Yeah, that Georgia curse is rough, huh?
Hey, fellas, I was thinking about this on the way home from watching the game Saturday night. And I was thinking about, in particular, I was thinking about Alabama as far as their defense is concerned, and then I was thinking about Georgia as like how their team is built, because Georgia actually reminds me of an old Alabama team. Tremendous defense, concentrating on stopping the run, not too flashy as far as the percentages of going down the field. And Nick Saban actually, when he transitioned to the more modern offense, I think that people lost hindsight of his defense can't be the same. As much as we want the defense to be the same, it can't be. And an example is that I think they took that defense was on the field for something like 70-some snaps. And I remember when they played Clemson the year they lost with Deshaun. It was the second matchup with Deshaun Watson when Deshaun won at the last minute. Jalen Hurts was a freshman at that time.
And they were on the field for 90 snaps.
They was on the field for like almost 20% or 30% more snaps than they had been on the field for the entire year. And I think that now that Nick Saban's defense, although again, I think the structure or the way they have built the defense needs to evolve. I still think at the same time we may never see that old type defense that Georgia actually resembles now with Alabama as far as the way their offense philosophy is these days. They might have to just settle on being a more opportunistic defense. Concentrate on getting turnovers, get timely stops on third down. But as far as just beating you up, lining you up, and just smothering you, I just don't know if that's going to be the Alabama defense moving forward. What do you think, Big Reg?
I agree, especially when your offense comes in and then 3 to 5 plays, you could be back on the field. Right. Because they have that quick strike ability and they go speed up. But I think what Nick has to do is sometimes you got to play to your defense and allow them, if you see they're getting tired, run the ball more, do some ball control, slow down the offense a little bit, which I kind of don't want to do. But sometimes you got to help your defense. And I do think they have to recruit. And we talked about this Saturday. The traditional linebackers for Alabama don't work anymore. Not in the SEC where now you have more wide open offenses. You've got to get a smaller, faster linebacker, and you have to get some taller DBs, and you need multiple of them because a lot of teams are playing 3-4 wide.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But still good enough to win a championship.
Right.
The upset of the week, Florida State knocks off, and I don't think anybody really believed North Carolina was number 5, but knocks off number 5 North Carolina. it's interesting. The ACC, they're trying to build up North Carolina State, and of course the 1 year hit them come in Notre Dame. Notre Dame barely beat Louisville 12-7.
You know why they're trying to build up the ACC? Because of the fact that, a lot of these teams aren't even playing right now. And you got Coastal Carolina and Louisiana type teams ranked in the top 25. We all know that. We all know in normal circumstances, they would just be fodder and for someone's homecoming. We all know this. And so I think that, North Carolina has a name recognizable coach. They actually have a name recognizable university, although we all know it's for basketball more and educate and academics more than it is for football. I just think they got to put somebody there. If they were undefeated, they do play in the ACC. We know that the ACC is a basketball conference. It's not necessarily a football conference. So they had to put somebody at 5. And when Florida State, it's almost like, how can we say Florida State upset is an upset against North Carolina in in football? It's even though Florida State's falling on hard times. Is it really an upset? It just feels it just doesn't sound right. But it's true, but it doesn't sound right.
Just the Tar Heels was favored, so that's why you got to look at it as an upset.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And last but not least, the only other major game, Texas A&M beat Mississippi State, but that's really nothing. Ooh. So it'll be interesting to see, like I said, when the Big Ten kicks off. The only real game they have this week is Michigan against Minnesota. So it'll be interesting. Fellas, it's World Series time.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning of MLB, we didn't think they'd make it through the season. They get ready to crown a champion.
Yep.
They're in a bubble too.
Yeah, they figured that out. They figured that out for the playoffs. Absolutely. It's like, we can't chance this everybody traveling around anymore. But we ended up with 2 Game 7s. Sadly, Atlanta Braves, they go that Georgia name again. After a 3-1 lead, lose to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers did it with power, and that man Mookie in the outfield stealing home runs from people. I actually thought that Atlanta was going to win. Then when Mookie pulled that home run back over the wall in Game 7, which would have gave Atlanta a 4-2 lead, it was game over.
Yep.
But if you really sit back and think about sports, though, can you really be surprised? It's arguable that the Dodgers have the 2 best players in all of baseball with Bellinger and Mookie Betts, with Cody Bellinger and Mookie Betts. It's arguable. They're both former MVPs. How Boston traded Betts to LA, I'm not versed well enough as far as the ins and outs of baseball to know what made them do such a foolish thing. But again, if I was Betts, I'd want to get the heck out of Boston and go to LA too. No disrespect, Boston people, but I would want to live in LA too. But usually in sports, who wins? Usually, if you have better players than the other team, because if you both make it to the playoffs, even in one of these shortened seasons like we have now, you usually coming from a good organization, at least has a good coach, good players, etc. So usually, if I have better players than you, I'm going to win. And Bellinger and key points in that throughout that series, and Betts through key points, like you just mentioned when he pulled that home run back in. Usually, the better players win.
I'm with you. And then in the other side, we had the Tampa Rays get rid of the cheaters, Houston Astros. Get them out of here. After going up 3-0, I was nervous when that went to Game 7. I was like, uh-oh, Houston, we got a problem. But they kept them out of there. So World Series starts tonight. Can Clayton Kershaw get a win for the Dodgers in Game 1? he get over his what's the nice way to put it?
Demons.
Postseason performance anxiety.
Get that monkey off your back.
I think it's actually it would actually be easier and less stressful for him to get a win in game 1 as opposed to like a pressure packed game 7 or like a game when it's a series closing potential for the series to end. I think game 1 there's really no pressure.
I hope so for him. I mean, he getting in that range where the walk into the Hall of Fame is starting to maybe get put in jeopardy. They'd be like, "Oh, you just a regular season guy. You just a stat stuffer."
Yeah.
The Rays have a bunch of good young arms, including Tyler Glasnow. They got some young stud hitters. It's going to be real interesting. If they can get to that Dodgers bullpen, which has a problem, I think this series can go 6 or 7. Dodgers should win. Highest payroll. Superstars, as you said, Ed. But sometimes when you don't know what you don't know, sometimes you win a title. That's all I got to say about that.
Hey, speaking of Tampa Bay, actually, this is a great, like you just mentioned. Dodgers have probably either one of the highest. They probably have one of the highest payrolls in MLB. But I know for a fact that Tampa, I believe, has the 3rd lowest payroll in the MLB.
Right.
So it's a fascinating. I almost want Tampa to win only because, as a Pirates fan, for centuries now, it seems like I know it's only been maybe 40, 30 years that they haven't been even in a position to compete. They've been more like a farm team for the big boys. But this is a perfect example where you don't necessarily have to take 20 years or 30 years and have a triple figure payroll to compete. They're actually showing that, look, you can actually compete. You just have to put you have to put the right players together at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
The sad part about this, and Professor just popped something up. This reminds me of the Florida Marlins, where you're going to have a good young team that should be positioned to dominate for 5 to 7 years, maybe even a decade. And more than likely, they're going to have to tear it down because they're not going to be able to afford to pay the players because of what they have as far as Tampa, as far as income, revenue bringing into that income. So I hope they win it. It'd be nice, but we will see. We will see. One last stat. The Dodgers have 700 games of postseason experience compared to Rays 284. So game 1 tonight, 8-11, first pitch. You got game 2 following on Wednesday. They take a break Thursday, then go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if necessary, game 6 will be Tuesday and then game 7 on Wednesday. All right, before we get to our post takes, I just want to take a couple of minutes just to talk about Lopez Lomachenko. For you appreciators of the pugilistic sports out there that love the sweet science of boxing, if you had a chance to watch that fight, that was a master class.
Nice.
By the young 23-year-old supposed power puncher that he put on the pound for pound 1 or 2 player Lomachenko and beat him at his own game.
Round for round.
Yeah, he put it on him. I watched it Saturday, recorded it, and what I like to do is I like to watch it the following day when nobody's around. I watch it by myself, and I actually score each round to see how far off I thought the judges were from the actual what they said. Because when I first heard the scores, I was like, nah, that fight was closer than that. I said Lopez won, but I thought it was closer than that. But after watching it, I came up 9-3 Lopez.
But it was only one judge that had a real wide spread. The other two were pretty close in scoring, but it was one individual that had a 6 or 7 point difference.
Yeah, one of them had him winning all but I think 1 or 2 rounds. But when I watched it, yeah, Julie Letterman. But when I watched it, I had 9-3. So I was only a round off from her after rewatching the fight. At best, you can convince me 7-5, but I was impressed with Lopez. What you guys think about his performance?
Well, I thought that early Lopez, and I would now I have to admit I didn't realize Lomachenko had that long a layoff. And I also didn't realize until earlier that night when we were talking about the fight, I didn't realize that the disparity in size was there. But getting back to the layoff, I think that Lomo, it took him a minute to get to. I don't know if he was being cautious. I don't know if he was figuring out what he could or couldn't do. But it did take him a minute to get started. By the time he got started, it was too late.
So all I want to say is Lopez literally won round for round. He took his time. He took his shots. He connected his shots. I mean, Lomachenko just sat back, and I think not until either the 4th or 5th round, that's when he started throwing a few punches. He didn't even throw a lot of punches, and they weren't connecting. So he was playing catch up the whole fight. And you got to give Lopez his dues. He did his homework, and it paid. It paid off.
Yeah, that game plan was, like I said, a masterclass. He came in and outboxed the boxer and took his time and was patient the whole fight. And then at the 12th round, when his dad said, we got this in the bag. All you got to do is just stay away from him. He went there and punished Lomachenko in the 12th round and tried to get him out of there.
Yep, absolutely.
The question for Lopez now is, what's next? I hear rumors. He actually kind of mentioned the other young phenom, Devin Haney, at the end of the fight. Haney has the WBC belt, but it's not the main belt that Lopez picked up in the victory over Lomachenko. So Haney retweeted after he heard what he said, let's do it in 2021. Lopez also talked about he might go up to 140. So what do y'all think would be best for Lopez? To fight against another young lion? Haney's only 21 with a minor belt, or should he go up to 140 and try to make some more big money and pay-per-view fights?
Well, he should go ahead and do a rematch with Lomo since he had a layoff. I mean, if he thinks he's that good and he's that confident in his game, and this way Lomo can't say that he had a layoff, he can prepare for it and put them belts right back up. If you that good, show your skill set.
Yeah, I agree. I before he moves up, I would make sure that 130, 135.
135.
Yeah, 135. I would make sure that whole division is cleaned out. And I think Tank, what is Tank in? Is that 135?
Nah.
Tank can fight at 135. He's currently getting ready to fight for the 130 belt next weekend.
Okay, so he may need to stay there for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I would make sure that 135 is set. I would definitely do the rematch with Lomo. Before I do anything else, that has to be a big fight. I mean, I wouldn't move up to 140 until I make sure I have another fight with Lomo.
I don't think Tank want none of that smoke, bro. He don't.
No.
No.
I'm not talking about Tank. I'm talking about Lopez and Lomo.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Tank don't want none of that Lopez smoke, huh?
He don't want none of that smoke right there. No, sir. Not after that last fight I seen him fight. Yeah, he ain't ready for that. He needs some growing pains.
I hear you. Yeah, so supposedly a rematch might be in the consideration, but Top Rank doesn't want to do a rematch until COVID has passed because they want to do it in an arena where they can get a gate where they can make some real money off of it. So that was the big thing about this. This was on regular ESPN. This wasn't even pay-per-view. Building up a fight, so
And
I don't
it
know
was
if
worth
Lopez
every
can
penny
wait.
of it.
Yeah.
It
I don't
was
know if
worth
Lopez
every
can
penny.
wait till fall or winter next year for a fight. Then he's going to have a 12 to 14 month layoff. He need to fight somebody early next year. Just my take. All right, fellas. Think I'm going to step in for the professor this week. I'm going to run down the professors. Huh? You got it?
Go ahead and do it. Yeah.
Okay, J3, hand your business. Take
So
hit it with the post takes.
post takes right off the gate. How about them Cowboys? Enough said. Next, the NBA trade rumors are heating up. Nets are actively shopping Carvis LeVert. They could be eyeing Bradley Beal from the Wizards or Jrue Holiday from the Pelicans. Golden State has a lot of options, including this year's second pick. They could trade down if enormous with the top three of them being a ball. What? A ball? Are you serious?
Yeah, there's a LaMelo Ball is going to be in the top three in the draft.
So they saw what happened in LA in that experience. They said they also to be geared up for the Giannis sweep for this year. They do not have a protected top three pick in 2012. OKC has Chris Paul on the block, but his balloon salary could deep six any deal this year. In Philly, Embiid and Simmons may not see the court together again. Things are certainly heating up. This just in, Rex Ryan has an opinion about a quarterback. He actually gave commentary about Cam Newton. Newsflash, former coach that needs to stay retired. Let me see you come off of sickness like COVID and play the vital position in sports. I would have respected you if you had just said the simply that he should have not have played. Enough said on that. Shout out to Maryland's own Scott Van Pelt. Any coverage of Alex Smith is a bonus. We are thankful that the man is still alive, let alone getting back on the field. This is such a touching story and one of the greatest comebacks that sports has ever seen. Kudos for interviewing Alex and covering his story. Guess who went to bed laughing, dreamed out loud, and woke up laughing? Yep, Andy Reid. Everyone expects him to stay true to his 60% passing and 40% running formula. But last night, Chiefs carried that rock 46 times for 245 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire rushed for 161. They gashed Buffalo last night. Who says coaches can't change their stripes for a win? You guys hear that? Big Ten football is running this weekend. Are you excited? Not really. The Heisman race is over. The national championship is too predictable. Another blasted rematch. Big Ten, you could have stayed on the sidelines and protected your students. Anyway, go Terps. Dustin Johnson pulls out Zorro Championship due to COVID-19. The number one ranked golfer is still on the shelf after tested positive last week, which had him pull out of the CJ Cup Championship. Congratulations to Jason Korak for winning the CJ Cup. More locally, Phil Nicholson wins the PGA Tour Champions event in Richmond. Did you all catch the Tim Bradley, what he said about Teofilo Lopez? He said that he reminds him of Roy Jones Jr. I know that Lopez shocked the world by dominating Lomachenko, but it's just too soon to compare him to a Super Roy. We shall see if the takeover is real or was his victory the result of a rusty legend. The LA Dodgers' Mookie Betts is simply electric. His play in Game 7 of the NLCS single-handedly lifted his team to victory. His bat, glove, and gold chain should all be retired in the Hall of Fame after this season. He is sure to be electrifying in the World Series and should finally give the LA championship that was eluded from them for 30 years. And lastly, rest in peace, Sid Hartwell for his Minneapolis tribute. a legend sports columnist, was still writing weekly columns and hosting a weekly radio show when he died at 100 years old. He was writing and radio career span for 75 years. Wow.
Yeah, rest in peace, Sid Hartman. He was one of the true living legends. So we lost a great one there. All right, fellas, a couple of other things that just caught my eye, just so people know. If for the F1 fans out there, Lewis Hamilton looks to win his 92nd Grand Prix this Sunday, breaking his tie to become the all-time wins leader in F1 at the Portuguese Grand Prix on Sunday. Joey Logano held off Kevin Harvick to win at the Kansas Motor Speedway. Logano books his spot in the NASCAR Championship final round for the Cup. And for you pugilists out there, it's not boxing this weekend, but UFC 254 pay-per-view. Khabib against Gaethje for the lightweight title. That should be a monster. And the co-main event has former champion Robert Whittaker against Jared Cannonier, who is a knockout artist. So you got two big fights. UFC 254. Actually, the whole card is pretty loaded because that's the way Dana does it. This is the last card for this series of Fight Island. They're back in Abu Dhabi. So he started it with a pay-per-view, ends it with a pay-per-view. Dana does things big.
Get that money.
Getting that money. All right, fellas, it's time for your final post. J3, what you got for me?
So I want to give a shout out to a local high school hero, Zaria Ragler, who was one of my neighbors. She just signed she just committed to Ohio State, got a full ride for playing volleyball. Congratulations. Also want to give a shout out to her coach, who happens to be one of my cousins, Coach Corey. You did an outstanding job. Corey Somerville. Outstanding.
Great job. Ohio State.
Yes, sir.
They do some things in volleyball, so
yes, sir.
That's big. That's
Absolutely.
big.
Awesome.
What you got for me, Ed?
I'm just looking forward to, of course, the rematch the rescheduled game this weekend, Pittsburgh and Titans. Both teams have suffered a significant injury, and I always say that football is a game of attrition. Whoever is the healthiest at the end normally wins. So I'm looking forward to the Titans in Pittsburgh this weekend. So that's all I got.
Yeah, that should be a good one. That's two old school punch in the mouth defenses with one team that has a monster in the backfield but can still throw the ball. And before you came on, I had to give props to your Steelers.
Okay, good. Thank you.
They legit. I said I was wrong. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually more looking forward to the game the following week. Ravens Steelers.
Yeah, there was a 3-week period. I said at the end of these 3 weeks, we'll know how good Pittsburgh is. So they got one down. There's 2 more to go.
Absolutely. I'd like to give a shout out to our co-host who couldn't make it this evening. Hey, Johnny, handle your business. J3 is the most important right now. Make sure the little fella's doing well. We
3D.
here. We ain't going nowhere.
3D.
Handle your business. And Professor, hope you feel better, bro. Trust me, I know what you're going through. We appreciate you sucking it up and doing things behind the scenes so the show can still go on. I greatly appreciate you, partner.
Yep.
And for all of our fans out there, J3 started the show with it. I'm going to end the show with it. It's 2 weeks, family. 2 weeks. Make a plan. Vote. There's no reason that you should not vote. It is very important, not only on the national level. Do your research. Figure out who in your local elections, county, state, on the ballot. You need to put people in position who have values and who have goals similar to what you have if you want to make a change in what's going on in the everyday running of your life. Make one plan, make a backup plan, vote early, get it over with, and then sit back and be patient because come November 3rd, we might have to wait a couple of weeks to find out who actually won. I'm hoping for a landslide, but it may be 2 weeks, so be patient.
Vote, 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 vote.
All right, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. We know you could be doing many other things, so we appreciate you for spending a little over an hour with us each and every week. We will be back next Tuesday, 7 p.m. each and every week for our live show. You can tune in Facebook. You can tune into our YouTube channel. Also catch us on Twitch. If you can't tune in live, look us up on Facebook, YouTube channel, Positions on Sports Talk Show. You can catch all of our shows there and download them when you have the time. We would greatly appreciate if you visit any of the sites. Please like and subscribe. The subscription is free. It doesn't cost you anything. We greatly appreciate it. Help us greatly. And please tell your families and friends, if you think we put on a good product, we greatly appreciate your vote of confidence in helping us grow this show. We enjoy doing it. We're trying to get bigger and better, do bigger things for you. So if you have any comments, any suggestions, hit us up. Let us know. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you again. Have a wonderful week. Have a good weekend. If you haven't voted already, get it done. Knock it out. Peace. Stay safe.
See ya.
Thank you, guys.